Scenario here is leads end up on your website as visitors via a Google search, ad, or word of mouth. The page they are researching is an account engagement landing page with a hosted form where they can sign up for a webinar. We're hosting a webinar right now, so a lot of the examples we use today will be webinar based. And then the individual would like to learn more about Marketing Cloud account engagement, so they decide it would be beneficial to sign up. Transitioning over to the org here, I already have this open. And so what I've done here is we've got a landing page mimicking what you would do if you were creating a webinar sign up page. And so on the right, we have under the register now, we have a form that is dynamically pulling in that we've created in account engagement. And the other thing that you'll notice here is it's already pre-filling some information. And the reason for that is I have previously submitted this form as a test prospect named Kurt Connors. And so Kurt Connors is already in the system. We already have the email address for Kurt. And if I revisit the form, the cookie on the browser and on the form is going to acknowledge that I've been there. Now you can change some of the settings there and decide when you want to pre-fill certain fields versus when you want to allow people to overwrite data in fields. There's all kinds of settings in account engagement that allow you to do that. For the example today, I'm going to resubmit Kurt Connors on this form instead of creating a net new lead, but then we're going to talk about some of the semantics there as well and some of the differences. Also, you'll notice in my org today that I am a big Spider-Man fan, so all of my prospect examples today will be based on Spider-Man. And the other examples in my org, if they're not superheroes, they're typically either sports players, singers, musicians, or plative employees. So those are the different types of test prospects you'll see in my developer org today. So field-wise, we've got first name, last name. We've got email address here, .connors@oscorp.com. We have job title of lead scientist, and then we have company Oscorp. So I'm going to click the submit button, which says register. We'll get redirected to the Plative website here. Let me close that out, switch back over. And then under our prospects tab, as I scroll down here, you'll see that we have a prospect record in here for Kurt Connors. And so I want to just kind of run you through, once you go through that process and you either create a net new prospect in the system, or the example I just gave where we're resubmitting a form and we already have one, this is what you can see on a prospect record from within the system and how you can start interacting, working with those prospects. So under the content section here, we have the form submission information that we gathered. We also have the source campaign. So for that particular landing page, I had source campaign set up as testing. I have a testing campaign I've created here. And this kind of goes into the conversation that originally, back in the old days, Pardot was intended to be more of a first touch or source campaign system, trying to track where someone came from. And so obviously in 2023, we're having more of those multi-touch attribution conversations, which we're going to get into when we look at CRM analytics later today. Also want to give another caveat here that prospects can also be in other campaigns at the same time. This is just the source campaign or marking where did that prospect initially come from.
I do want to make a comment there, and just to create some context there. If you're a client and you have a top of funnel sales process where you might have leads that are in Salesforce and those leads are being worked on from your sales team, that can still be managed within the same concept of a prospect. It'll just be synced to Salesforce. And that brings the question of, you might not want to have all your prospects in your CRM. So with account engagement, you're actually able to manage that variation from a marketing qualified lead and a sales qualified lead. And you can manage that handoff right at the top of the funnel from a traffic standpoint.
Awesome. Yeah, great call out, Lindsay. Thank you. Some of the other things that you can see here, and we will circle back on some of those things as well, and talk through how do we sync someone up for the first time. I'm going to show you that here. Under the activity pane over here on the right-hand side, this is where it's tracking all of the individual activities that a prospect is taking. So a lot of times this will also be playing into the prospect's overall score, and the timing of when you might send someone up to Salesforce and assign them to a sales rep for the first time. So you can see here, we've got custom redirect clicks, we've got website page views, we have a new opportunity for this particular prospect being created because Kirk Connors is actually a contact in Salesforce and does already have that connection. So you can see we've got the CRM record type of contact and the CRM contact ID here. And then we've got some form landing page submissions. This is a developer org, so email sending is disabled, but typically you would also be seeing email clicks and opens showing up here pretty frequently on your prospects as well. And then we have a little mailability section here, which is nice. So you can at any time go to a prospect record and see if their status is mailable or see if they've opted out. The opted out field also ties directly into the email opt-out field in Salesforce, which is nice. And you can also, take note of soft bounces and hard bounces that have been detected for a prospect when you're emailing them. And then down here under the insight section, this is where score and grade start to come into play, where Ludsey talked about how scoring is how interested is someone in you as an organization. Grading is how interested are we in that prospect, or how interested should we be? How much time should we be investing in a prospect? And I also want to just show you while we're on that topic, if we go to our account engagement settings, I want to show you how easy it is for you as an organization to customize the scoring settings. You do have scoring categories as well. So a common example being if you're an organization that sells different products, you could put different product scoring categories, and that just allows it to roll up under that category anytime you have an email and they've clicked a link and taken an action. It will roll up under that scoring category on the prospect record. But as far as the general scoring rules themselves, it's very easy for you to go in here and edit these. But your org out of the gate will come with some standard default settings, and then you can go and change them. I believe out of the box, like a form submission is set to 50 points, but that's something that's very, relative to you as an organization, right? You might decide, no, I only want a form submission to be worth 15 points, whatever it might be. And there's other ways that you can also manipulate that in the system through other automations. So a common use case we also see is you can set your scoring rules on a global level. And then if you say you had a web form that was more valuable to you, worth more to you, you could also set up what's called a completion action on the form submission so that you could adjust the score by an additional 10 points. And so that would take into account both the global setting and the completion action, and it would score someone as 30 points for submitting that particular form. So there's lots of little ways that you can, manipulate the system to your business plan and what works for you as an organization.
And I'm just going to build off of what Aaron's saying there. In addition to kind of the scoring, you can also set thresholds. So as the score starts to build up, that can trigger an automated engagement from, like, let's say a salesperson. So if this person has hit this threshold, we're going to assign this salesperson in this territory an action item. So it automates that for you. So there's no manual handoff there. It's really doing the work for you and delivering a really qualified lead to sales.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Greg. So in the conversation of when do we sync someone up, when someone comes in as a net new lead into the account engagement database, they're just going to hang out there until you tell the system it's time to push them up to Salesforce. And that is done through the assigned user field. And so you see that currently I'm the assigned user for Kirk Connors. I've already pushed him up to Salesforce originally. But if this was a net new lead we had created or had come in from a form submission, then this assigned user would be blank. And like Greg just alluded to, you can have an automation set up for the timing of that. And you can have scoring or grade as some of the different criteria of when you push someone up. Sometimes your scoring threshold might be 100. It just depends on you as an organization and how you have that structured. And then real quickly, I don't want to get too lost into the weeds here today, but you'll see that you have access to the default out of the box fields that are syncing down from Salesforce